Hey guys, before we get into this show, head on over to manscaped.com. Get yourself a Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer, manscaped.com. They've got amazing products, including ball wipes and other amazing accessories and male products. You're going to absolutely love it. Use promo code SHOWERLION. You're going to save yourself 20%. Head on over there right now, manscaped.com. It works, Tim. It helps shave your head and your balls.
I need to come borrow that off of you later. Look, I'm a little rough here, man. Oh, my gosh.
Okay, I'm going to come over there and trim you. Head on over to manscaped.com. Use promo code SHOWERLION. And today we're talking the biggest surprises of 2020 fantasy football. Surprises. Things that really surprised us. Wow, that guy surprised us one way or another. Exciting show. Let's get to it.
Taking off the gloves, I've had enough. It's in my blood. I was born for this.
All right, Tim, here we go. The biggest surprises of 2020 fantasy football. So we're talking about players that oh my God, where'd that guy come from? That surprises. Or players that were supposed to do well, and I'm surprised he didn't do that well. We're talking big surprises at each position. Tim, are you ready to roll?
Of course I'm ready. Let's rock it.
All right. So, by the way, how are you doing, man? It's been a while. I see a mistletoe up there ahead of your head, above your head, too.
That's my gingerbread man. He's running. He's going to poop on my head soon, probably.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what that thing is. It's gingerbread man. Yeah, that's funny.
You took away all the mystique, and now nobody has to comment on it.
I know. I should have just left it and let people wonder what that thing is hovering above your head.
Yeah, we could have done what the F's over the bald guy.
It's a big surprise.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, let's start off with quarterbacks here. Biggest surprise at quarterback. Let's talk about it. I would say the biggest surprise for me is Justin Herbert finishing 9th amongst quarterbacks. That's pretty impressive, would you not say?
Absolutely, man. I mean, he killed it. There's no other way to say it. 4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 5 rushing touchdowns, and he did a lot of that without the superstar Austin Eckler.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say Eckler
superstar.
I wouldn't say that, but listen, I mean, that's pretty impressive. He finished 6th in passing yards. That's impressive for a guy, young guy, rookie guy. I mean, you're looking at 31 touchdowns. I don't have the actual facts in front of me, but I think somewhere along he broke the record for, or he was up there with rookie touchdowns. I mean, he threw a lot, 31. Looking at his fantasy points, finishing 10th or 9th amongst fantasy points, 322.84. There's a bright future ahead for Justin Herbert, Tim. I really like this kid.
Yeah, man, he's got it all. The fact that he can run the ball when he needs to. I don't think he had huge yardage rushing, but still, he got her done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I want to give a shout out too. Like, you're going to say, he's not such a surprise, but Josh Allen finishing 1st overall for the quarterbacks, that's a bit of a surprise, man. I mean, we knew he had some ability and we knew that they were trying to put a team, but there wasn't really much in the way of like a marquee type player, right? Like Stephon Diggs, yeah, he's a good name, but he wasn't a huge name. Now he's a huge name.
Yeah, 37 touchdowns for Josh Allen, and this guy taking them all the way to the playoffs. We're going to see how far they get into the playoffs. They are playing the Colts this Saturday. I'm excited for Josh Allen. I'm glad that the Bills finally have a franchise guy, a guy they can build around. And I'm glad that Diggs is getting the opportunity, because one of the problems he was having in Minnesota was he wasn't getting the ball a lot with Thielen there. He was complaining about that. Now I understand why. He deserves the ball. He gets the ball. He's got the connection with Josh Allen. I'm excited to see what happens. I knew Josh Allen was good. I thought he'd finish, maybe crack the top 5 at best, but finishing 1st amongst quarterbacks, that's a big, nice surprise. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you might not want to jump around a little bit here, but since we're talking about Buffalo, let's talk about Cole Beasley as well, man. I mean, I would say he's a bit of a surprise, right? Like 82 receptions, just shy of 1,000 yards. The thing that hurt him was only 4 touchdowns for all that work he did. I would compare him to an Edelman, like he's just that kind of compact player, kind of speedy, shifty, and just gets her done, man.
Yeah, Cole Beasley surprised a lot of people, especially in PPR. So we could touch on him real briefly when we get back to wide receivers. But yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. When I actually saw him doing well in some fantasy games, I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. Now, remember when we went to their training camp a year or two ago when Allen was a rookie, we saw Beasley getting the ball quite a bit in training camp. Remember that?
Yep, I do.
He seems to like him, right? So they've got that rapport, which is good.
It's funny because I remember in one of our early shows before the season even started, I said, like, I was talking about Edelman, and I said something like, Edelman, he's always just there. And some douche said, what do you mean he's always there? Great analysis, basically calling me a moron. but that's what it is. And that's a guy like Edelman is just always available for some short passes and turns them into something. Cole Beasley's kind of the same way, man. Like, this team could be great in the future. They need to work a little more on their defense. Their defense wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. So if they can become a more well-rounded team, damn, they are really going to be impressive.
Yeah, I want to make a note as well, and I'm not saying I know all or be all, but the 16-round draft version, by the way, you can pre-order it now. There's a link here below. Head on over to thefantasyfootballaccounts.com. You can pre-order it now, but I want to say something. I anticipate and see things before they happen, right? And a big surprise to the mainstream is Ryan Tannehill finishing 7th. This is a guy that I was making sure I had in all my leagues as a backup quarterback, because that's the value he was in drafts. I even actually, if you check my Instagram, I actually did an actual post, Tim. This is true. I did a post, and it was called a bold prediction that Tannehill would beat Lamar Jackson in fantasy points, and sure enough, he did. Now, he beat him. Tannehill finished 7th. Lamar finished 10th. Oh, Joe, it's not a big deal. It's only 3. Dude, I got Tannehill after like the 10th round. And you guys, after I warned you, Tim, how many times did we say, do not invest in a quarterback in the 2nd round, especially a guy coming off a pinnacle year? I think I said that probably 1,000 times, right?
Oh, yeah. We've beat that horse to death.
Yeah, so Lamar Jackson was a 2nd round pick across the board, finished 10th. We knew a decline would happen. We knew it was a Cinderella season. And again, good year for Lamar, but not the same type of year that would justify a 2nd overall pick. In fact, I come out and quoted, and I said Pat Mahomes would actually beat us. So Pat Mahomes was coming off a little bit after Mahomes, maybe round 3 typically. And I said, even that's expensive. And I did mention Aaron Rodgers, who finished 2nd, would have a chip on his shoulder this year. They drafted Jordan Love. He's got a lot of criticism. I'm not good enough. People were saying he's not good enough. He's washed up. And I knew he had a chip on his shoulder. We knew Adams was hurt the year before. Adams coming back healthy, a chip on his shoulder. Aaron Rodgers, understandably so, finishing 2nd. And again, it's not a surprise. Now, here's what bothers me, Tim. When we're going to look at the rankings next year, we're going to see them just like this. We're going to see Rodgers, Allen. It's going to be this order. Nobody's going to talk about Lamar Jackson 2nd round. This is what I hate. This is why I hate the mainstream consensus.
Yeah, I don't know if you're right about that. I think people still will put Lamar pretty high, but yeah, he's probably not going to be a 2nd round pick next year. He's still going to be a 3rd or 4th. That wouldn't shock me at all. Let's kind of get back to the surprises here. So you mentioned Ryan Tannehill. I was definitely not that high on Tannehill either. And the reason being, for the most part, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a running back. That's all he does, man, is run. And that guy is a freight train. So putting Tannehill so high to me was kind of shocking. The way he did it, or what really helped him a lot too, was he put in 7 touchdowns himself. So I'm not going to dump on him. He had a great year. His yardage was decent. Everything was good. The touchdown to interception ratio was good. I'm just going to say, I don't know if he's quite going to be there next year. He might hang in the same area. He might be, high top 10.
That is a good thing to point out, because when you look at him attempts-wise, he's 17th in attempts amongst quarterbacks. That's not good. Yeah, where he made it up was those rushing touchdowns, and I think he had one pretty decent run in for a touchdown a couple games ago. So, I mean, Tannehill, you could make that argument that, hey, the attempts aren't there, and I like to see attempts. He's not going to throw it as much as like a Big Ben and threw it 399 times, but he is making it up, believe it or not, on his feet as well. So, hopefully that continues for him next year. He could probably get him for good value, or maybe people will be riding his train. He's going to be overinflated, right?
Yeah. Now, you want to talk about a guy who, we say surprises for good and bad. Not that we put a lot into this guy. We always say he's just safe and steady. But Phillip Rivers' disappointment this year. Damn.
He sucks. He's not that good. I mean, he throws a lot of picks. That's his problem. 24 touchdowns, 11 picks. Didn't utilize T.Y. Hilton till like week 13 or something like that. It's crazy, man. Like, the guy just did not play up to standard.
Once again, the yardage is there, he throws for over 4,000 yards, but he does not run at all. So he didn't put in a single touchdown. All of that hurts him. But yeah, he was a disappointment this year. Let's put it that way.
A couple other disappointments that were higher on ADP didn't perform. Daniel Jones and Joe Burrow. Actually, Joe Burrow did good before he got injured, but I want to say Gardner Minshew as well. These guys, higher expectations, slightly higher, but finishing 24th for Jones, 26th for Gardner Minshew. Pretty poor performances out of these guys.
You got to point out, though, that Minshew only played 9 games, man.
Yeah.
That's going to take away no matter what. That's a huge loss.
That's true, but he wasn't performing that well when he was playing. So that's something to consider. again, injuries, I kind of count injuries as well. But yeah, good point. Again, we got Dak Prescott. That was a big surprise. Got hurt. This guy was drafted in around the 3rd to 4th round. Actually, sorry, he slipped as late as the 5th, but he was on a lot of people's radar because he did well the year before. So that was a big surprise, seeing him hurt the way that he got hurt. So quarterback, though, overall, I mean, what you kind of see is kind of what you get. There wasn't any huge major variances. Again, other than the Tannehill surprise, Herbert coming out, having a great year, stuff like that. Overall, it's kind of nothing really shocks me here, I don't think.
No, I mean, I'm shocked that Allen finished 1. I give him credit. I think I put him in around 7th or 8th in my top 10. So 1 is surprising to me, but hey, I'm happy with it too.
All right, let's go to tight ends here. We'll plow through that because nobody cares. Then we'll save the running backs for the end because there's some huge surprises there. So, by the way, Tim, I wanted to tell you, the 16-round draft solution, if you pre-order now, you get a chance to do a live Zoom call with Chris CJ2K Johnson on February 9th. So pre-order now, and you enter 10 people, Tim, will Zoom call with me and Chris CJ2K Johnson. How cool is that?
Nice, man. Yeah, that's awesome.
I want to create that experience for people to give that opportunity, and you're getting it for the lowest price at all, of all year, the whole year. So thefantasyfootballcouncil.com or 16 rounds below pre-order. All right, so tight ends here, Tim. Let's talk about it.
You know what's funny is we talk about tight ends all the time, saying 10 points. Get your 10 points from a tight end, be happy, blah, 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 blah. If you look at the stats for these guys, I mean, the majority of them only got 10 points per game. There wasn't a lot of surprises here, and I'm not even going to call them a surprise. Your top 2 finishers being Kelsey and Waller. Kelsey with over 300 points, Waller at like 278. And then it drops to 176, a guy named Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas, whatever, man.
Who's that guy? I mean, he was not anyone's radar. But here's the thing, right? So I hear a lot of the mainstream again, and I never draft a tight end in the 2nd round, ever. Now, everyone was drafting Kittle relatively early because he had a good year. Kittle got hurt, finished 19th amongst tight ends. And again, I always wait on tight end. And I waited, and I got Hawkinson and Gesicki. Hawkinson finishing 5th, Gesicki finishing 7th, and I was happy with that. I had Noah Fant in some leagues finished 8th. But again, if you don't get Kelsey, there's a significant drop-off, so you might as well wait. But you're going to see it yet again. You're going to see Waller in and around round 2, 3, maybe even round 4, and Kelsey coming off as early as the 1st round this year. There is buzz about him coming off now in the 1st round. Now, he is consistent as they come, and you could say that you could draft him instead of a wide receiver, which kind of makes some sense. But I still just don't feel comfortable drafting a tight end that early. But again, Kelsey could be an exception.
Yeah, I get it. I get the fact of trying to pick one up really early if he is that top tight end, like 300 points, man. That is good wide receiver numbers. That is like what? I didn't even pull it up here, but I'm going to say that's probably like top 5 wide receiver numbers. So it kind of justifies being a 2nd round pick.
But that's his pinnacle year. He'll never have a year like that again. I'm telling you. Now you can debate that with me, but if you look at
wait, you're talking about Kelsey, isn't he almost always like high 200s?
294 was his highest year in 2018, I believe, right? He had 254 the year before or after that.
Okay, so mid 2s and up. It's definitely a pick.
233 in 2017. So 294 was his pinnacle year. And then this past year, he eclipsed that with 312. He's not going to hit 312 again. It's just not going to happen. So
no,
I don't see.
Even if you put him in that high 200, I still say it kind of justifies a 2nd to 3rd round pick, But if anything were to happen to him, and we talk about injuries, tight ends normally seem to get injured a lot. Thankfully, he didn't. Thankfully, Waller didn't. A bunch of these top guys have 16 games under their belt, but that's about it, man. A lot of these guys have 14s, 12s, a lot of little injuries, little nagging things. These are big trees, and they fall hard. Robert
Tonyan had, finished 4th. Here's what I hate, Tim. Can we have this debate here? So he says that you got to pronounce it Tonyan. When I look at that, I look at it's Tonyan, and that's the same thing that's bothering me when we were pronouncing. Remember CJ Beathard? It's Bethard, right? But it's called Beathard. And I understand that sometimes when you pronounce something, it's different from the way that it's spelt, but it's just so blatantly obvious with these names. Like it's not like a French name, or it's not like some sort of Czech name or whatever, Russian name. It's not like it's just, it looks like a North American name, yet it's pronounced differently. No, it's Tonyan. That's how Tony, but they're pronouncing it Tonyan. Do you see a U in there? Do you see?
That's the funny part about the English language, man. I mean, sometimes the sounds, the way it's spelt, it should sound a certain way. There's rules about these things.
But
and then
ton,
it just isn't right.
how do you spell ton? Let's look this up.
Well, a ton, like weighing a ton, is TON.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So there's that pronunciation again.
Tunyon. No, but that's true. I guess it's a measure. So I guess it is Tunyon, right? He wants a Tunyon.
It's funny, man. It's so okay. A ton is TON, but top is TOP.
Okay, Tanya. TONYA. Would I call her Tanya?
Yeah.
No, hold on. Tanya. TONYA. That's Tanya. Would I pronounce her Tanya? No, I wouldn't. So why would I call Robert Tunyon? I wouldn't.
Hey, dude, when the player themselves tell you how to pronounce their name or you hear them say it, that's how you pronounce their name. End of story. It doesn't matter what the reasoning is, nothing.
No, it's Robert Tunyon. It's Tunyon. It's Tunyon.
Yeah. You just screwed yourself up.
I confused myself. Okay, so he finished 4th. So that's a big surprise. And the nice thing was Aaron Rodgers had a good year, right? But nobody anticipated Tunyon at all.
I started recommending him, probably around week 6 to 8, somewhere in there, and I picked him up. So when I started the year, I was super high on Hayden Hurst. Yep. He was the only tight end on my bench. And then later on, I started saying, Tunyon, I'm going to look at him. Picked him up. Even still, though, he was kind of an up and down player, man. There were weeks where he cost me, and there were weeks where he helped me.
Right.
And that's true of all of these tight ends. Like we said, there's only the top 2 were amazing. The rest were just average.
Yeah, Gronkowski came in, had a good year as well. There's so many targets there in Tampa Bay.
Now, I'm a guy who always takes the licks. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I admit it, no problem. Mark Andrews finished number 6. I think if you go back and look at one of our earlier videos, I said he'd probably be 7th tight end this year.
Yeah,
and it's not like he missed a lot of time or anything, too. He had 14 games. I just said other guys I thought could catapult in front of him, and that's kind of what happened this year.
Yeah, looking at this again, Kittle, big surprise, got hurt, finished 19th. Again, I wouldn't have drafted him in a second round pick. Zach Ertz, what a surprise, finished 31st, Mr. Reliable there that everybody drafted early again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Big bust.
Yep. Jared Cook was kind of a surprise too, not finishing very well.
Yep.
I thought even that he would have a much better year, but no, just wasn't that target that we needed him to be.
Jordan Reed back to his injury-prone self, only playing 10 games this year. He kind of crapped the bed as well. Greg Olson sucked. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not really surprised here other than Robert Tunyon, and that's pretty much – and Logan Thomas is a surprise. I mean,
yeah.
Nobody would have thought about him, right? So, couple surprises here. Your boy Hayden Hurst finishing 10th, believe it or not. You were all over him at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I don't get it. Atlanta should have been such an amazing throwing team. There should have been so much opportunity, and they just sucked all year. They basically sucked. The whole team sucked.
All right, not a lot of surprises here at wide receiver for us because I called Justin Jefferson. In fact, I went back and looked at the 16-round draft solution to see where I was recommending him. I recommended him in the 7th round, where he was ranked 59th amongst wide receivers. So that puts him outside the 12th, 13th, 14th round, even deep. And he was actually going undrafted, so much so that I was seeing some posts saying he was the waiver wire wonder of the year. Whereas if you had 60 rounds, you were drafting him. Why, Tim? Because Diggs was gone. There was 150 freed up targets back from what we saw back in 2018. That's what Diggs had. There was a ton of volume there. He looked really good in college. He was a plug and play. I like Jefferson. I recommended him as a guy. He was my wide receiver 2-3 on a lot of my teams. So that's a big surprise for a lot of people, but not for Council Nation because you guys have him on your teams, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was huge on Thielen, and Jefferson actually outperformed Thielen in many ways except for touchdowns. You give some of Thielen's touchdowns to Jefferson, damn, Jefferson's like a top 3.
Yeah, 14 touchdowns for Thielen, 7 for Jefferson, but Jefferson crushed him in yards, 1,400 to 925, and he had more targets, which is really nice, 125 to 108. So Thielen was that nice, safe red zone target there for his quarterback. But again, when you look at this, man, Jefferson, again, is good. I loved him. I got him for value, and that's what you get for 60 rounds. You get those value plays before they break out. Now everybody's going to be riding the Jefferson trade. There's nothing I could do. I can't get him in the 7th round anymore, Tim. I was the one who got him, but now the mainstream is going to be riding him. He's going to be a top 10 wide receiver. Why? Because he finished top 10, and this is what bothers me, right? Why did you have him ranked 59? Why didn't you project this? You guys are supposed to be analysts. How could you not see that he could have had a better season than he did? Nobody saw this. Nobody, except for me.
Okay, but Yes, they will put him there next year, and not necessarily just because where he finished this year. It's because he's now proven himself. So you can dump on those guys and say, they're just jumping on his D. No, man, he's now proven, and as long as everything stays the same in Minnesota, he is in a proven spot. He deserves a certain number, and that's where you justify putting him.
Okay, I'll give you another example. Robbie Anderson beat DJ Moore in fantasy points. Robbie Anderson finishing 19th in PPR, DJ Moore 25th. I specifically said, who says DJ Moore is the one there with Teddy Bridgewater coming in? Who said that? I was getting Robbie Anderson after, I think it was like the 10th, 11th round for free, while everyone was drafting DJ Moore in rounds 3 to 5. I win again, right? I win again.
No, you're right. I mean, there are times where you're definitely going to be very right, and there are times where maybe you stretch it a little bit. But yes, you've called some for sure.
I was wrong on Hopkins. I thought that the targets wouldn't be there, and sure enough, there were 160 targets because I thought Fitzgerald was there. I thought there wasn't just enough targets to go around. First year with Kyler, so that I take ownership. The thing is, I just stayed away from him. So it's not like I said don't draft him. I said I'm not drafting him. I don't trust the targets being there. So I was wrong on that. But here again, let me make a point here. I was getting value at wide receiver later. I didn't have to invest a first or second round pick on Hopkins. So I just kind of covered myself. Either way, I was a little off on Hopkins. I didn't think he'd get the volume that he did. That's it.
I agree with you. I didn't think he would finish so high. I wouldn't have written him off, but definitely not top 4.
I had Diggs in a couple leagues. I mean, he was coming off a good value. I think it was 4th or 5th round. I got him for a good deal. He was like my first wide receiver after I went robust RB, and I was questioning it a little bit. And look at him. He finished 3rd. So that's a nice surprise. Or sorry, where did he finish? 3rd? Yeah. 3rd in PPR.
Yep.
So yeah, pretty good numbers, 328 points. And what I like here, again, this is what I'm so fascinated with, is number 1 in targets, 166. I love the targets, Tim. That's what I love.
Oh, for sure, man. And it's funny. Like I think earlier in the year, I was saying I just didn't know if Josh Allen was going to be that guy, if his accuracy was going to be there, if his strength was going to be there. And damn, did he prove me wrong on that one?
What a huge surprise here. And I knew he'd have a good year. There's no denying it. The thing was health, right? But Devontae Adams, 18 touchdowns. That's remarkable, honestly.
Yeah, that's huge, man. Of course.
Calvin Ridley finishing 5th. And that's a big part because Julio, your guy, was hurt. And that's another big surprise. He was drafted in the 1st, 2nd round, and Julio Jones really, really crapped the bed. And it was like this nagging hamstring thing all season, finished 52nd amongst wide receivers. What a huge bust. There was a ton of busts at wide receiver this year. And that's why I say wait on wide receiver. Let me go over a couple busts here for you, Tim. Odell Beckham Jr. Now, I said to you, Tim, this is what kills me. He busted 3 years in a row. And he was still being recommended in the 3rd round by the mainstream. Can you believe that? Landry had beat him in fantasy points the year before, and yet the mainstream put Odell ahead of Landry. Why? Because he's a name. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, sometimes that's the way it is, man. It just plays on people's minds.
And he busted again. And you could say he got hurt, but that's the whole thing. He got hurt 4 years in a row pretty much, right? So how do you not see that? So I stayed away from him. Michael Thomas, huge bust, had an ankle injury, played 7 games. Just a huge bust. This guy was drafted top 5 pick across the board. And I said, stay away from him. And you and me, I remember we had a specific argument. He said, Joe, well, Michael Thomas is great value. I would go based on points. I would definitely go Michael Thomas. Great.
I think I was saying, even if he gave up like 50 to 80 points, he's still a number 1.
Yeah, and I can't predict injuries. And I don't want to say that, Tim, but I said the same thing with CMC. Said the same thing. He had 470 points, even if he dropped a bit. And I get that reason. It totally makes sense. But once you have a Cinderella year, it's very rare based on history. History shows us this. It's very unlikely. We saw it with Lamar. We saw it with Michael Thomas. We saw it with Christian McCaffrey. That it's most likely you're either going to get hurt or you're going to decline. There's a chance you're going to maintain, but there's going to be a significant drop-off after a pinnacle year. It's just common sense. But yet, still, Michael Thomas was drafted 4th, 5th overall. Nobody listened, right? Well, a lot of 60-rounders did, but the mainstream just kept pushing Michael Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Let's get back to some of the good surprises, though. You got a couple you haven't even touched on, and I'm surprised. You got to be itching to talk about these 2 guys.
Well, Jefferson was the one big surprise. We already talked about him. Who else are you talking about?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah. So Juju and Deontay. Now, again, I mentioned these guys, so I was kind of half.
No, not even Juju. Come on.
Beyonce and Claypool, sorry.
Oh, give him some love. Damn.
Beyonce and Claypool. He had a couple big weeks. Claypool finishing 22nd, Deontay 21st. And I want to make a note here. Deontay, I don't remember where he was. I think he was around 40th amongst wide receivers, give or take. But I know Claypool was undrafted. And I know he was sitting at 80. 88th amongst wide receivers. I mean, that is crazy. He was going undrafted. This is a guy I told you stashed in 16 rounds. Again, had a good year, but near the end of the season started falling off a little bit. But overall, based on the fact that he was 88th amongst wide receivers and finished 22nd, that's pretty remarkable, man, to have him on your bench for free. And a guy finished 22nd ahead of guys, believe it or not, DJ Moore. This is a guy everybody drafted in the 3rd round. I said, no, Robbie Anderson could beat him. Cooper Kupp, right? Ahead of who else? He beat Chris Godwin. Mm-hmm. Chris Godwin was drafted in the 2nd round, Tim. And I said, do not draft Chris Godwin or Evans. Godwin coming off a pinnacle year. And then what happened? Godwin fell off, right? We knew that. He had a pinnacle year. And we knew that either Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, one of them is going to fall out. It turns out they both fall out of the top 10. Mike Evans finishing 11th amongst wide receivers in points. We called this. Everything I foresaw here, Tim, pretty much.
Yeah, you've kind of sold me, man. I like to go against what you say a lot of times just so that I can do it and try to rub it in your face if I'm right. The robust RB is the way to go. So when we did our fan-to-fan league, I took Thielen and Kupp, I think, 1, 2, and then went back and grabbed, or no, sorry, took them 2nd and 3rd. I did grab Saquon first. Man, did that hurt me. Either way, my running backs were crap. I couldn't pick up a good running back off waivers. I couldn't trade for anything. So it hurt me bad. So I'm kind of sold. Next year, I got to go heavy on the RBs early.
Yeah, just get the 16-round draft solution, Tim. But I'll tell you what.
If only I knew where to get a solution for this stuff.
TheFantasyFootballCouch.com. Listen, I'll tell you where I was wrong. So I want to take full ownership on my mistakes. So again, Hopkins, I thought he wouldn't have a good year. But again, I went robust RB. No excuses there. I was deterring people from him. But hey, it is what it is. I can't be right on all of them. And I was wrong on T.Y. Hilton. He finished 42nd amongst wide receivers. I had him in a lot of leagues. Got him in and around the 5th, 6th round. But at the end of the day, man, Rivers just crapped the bed. I can't help that. Damn.
Don't make excuses. Just own your crap.
It is what it is, man.
It is what it is. I was pretty high on TY as well.
Yeah. He kind of turned it up near the end of the season, but just not enough, man. So very big disappointment there. And, those are kind of the main things that pop out when it comes to wide receiver. I had some mistakes at running back, which we'll get into right now. So let's move forward here. All right, biggest surprise at running back got to be James. Let's talk about David Montgomery. Finally, my guy, my boy, my man. This guy, my guy, right? A guy.
And I don't want to hear any talk here either, though, about who was the coaching. It might have been, but who cares? You can't make any excuses. You got to look at the whole picture. David Montgomery sucked, I think, up until like week 12.
Yeah, he's average at best. And as soon as Cohen went down early in the season, I thought, boom, he might have skyrocketed. He didn't. And then Nagy started giving up some of his play calling to the other coaches. But listen, when you look at this, man, he's finally getting the workhorse load that he deserves, started performing, and looked more confident when he was running. Now, if Tariq Cohen comes in, I don't see him being a huge factor. But, if Nagy's still there, he loves Tariq Cohen. So he could be a thorn in the side. I still don't feel really warm and fuzzy with David Montgomery. I don't know if he's going to get the volume. I hope he does, right? Based on him being the workhorse running back. They're succeeding, right? They're in the playoffs as the time of this recording. So, man, I don't know, Tim.
I don't know if I'm putting him top 5 next year, but he's definitely earned a spot in the top 12. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Jonathan Taylor, I had him in, I don't want to say all my leagues, but 80% of my leagues. Jonathan Taylor, man, oh man, this guy, I knew he'd be a workhorse, but a lot of people saying, well, Marlon Mack was there. I did a bunch of videos saying, I hate the fact that Marlon Mack's there. Marlon Mack got hurt, opened things up for Jonathan Taylor. He was a workhorse in college. Now he's starting to prove it near the end of the season. Looked really good, man. As a rookie, phenomenal. 1,169 yards and 11 touchdowns. I think there's only 2 other rookies that did that in Indy prior to him. It's a very, very rare statistic there. He did really well. Big surprise. Not so much for me. I knew he had the talent. I just don't know he was going to get the full opportunity. He started getting it, and bam, there he is, Jonathan Taylor.
I was probably not so high on him, but let me say, next year, he's got even a lot more room to go up. Look at his receiving. 39 targets, 36 receptions. Man, this guy's got hands. Utilize him even more. And only 1 touchdown in receiving, too. So, boom, let's get him going.
He wasn't even known for hands. That's the thing. He's just a pure runner, but he's doing well in the catching game. So I'm excited for him next year. I really am. Lots of
yeah. I agree.
But another big surprise, James Robinson, undrafted free agent, finishing 7th amongst running backs on Jacksonville. The team isn't even that good. And he did that well. Over 1,000 yards, right? 240 attempts. I like to see that go up. 7 touchdowns on the ground, 3 receiving touchdowns. So James Robinson, man, young, dynamic, upside. I like this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's look right behind him. So I'm looking at a stats page right now. Josh Jacobs, kind of a disappointment, man. I mean, he had a high number of touchdowns. That's what saved his butt this year.
He got a DUI yesterday. I don't know when you're listening.
Okay, we talked about this, though. Let's not crucify a guy just because he gets a D. I need more info. Did he go out with the boys and have one beer and then he crashed his car because he was doing something else stupid and then, oh, you've been drinking, sir? There's no justifying it. A DUI sucks. A DUI should not really happen, especially when you're in his position. You have all the money in the world.
He's risking.
If you had one beer with your buddies, it's kind of forgivable. It's something that still needs to be talked about. It's just, I'm not going to shame you as if you were.
If you had a beer and waited, a couple hours and maybe have a trace of alcohol and you're not, maybe there's a trace in there and you don't blow over, maybe you got pulled over for that. Maybe it's something minor, but if he actually got intoxicated, got in, risked his life and the life of others, that's not cool. We don't know.
No, absolutely. If he was drunk or if he was even close to the legal limit, that's too much. That's too close. If you go out with your friends and you have one drink, you wait an hour and you drive home and, oh my God, you still kind of blow over, you get arrested for DUI. I can forgive that. I cannot forgive someone being over the legal limit or even very close to the legal limit in driving.
Yeah, as long as you don't blow over. I mean, but yeah, if you have a trace in it and you got into a crash, we don't know the severity of the crash. Did somebody hit him? Did he get rear-ended?
I thought I heard that it was a single vehicle, like he crashed his car.
My God. So then he definitely probably blew over, right? He obviously blew over if you got it.
Yeah, I don't know all the details yet, so I don't want to totally dump on him at this point.
Not cool, man. Still not cool. Cool.
No, it's not. It's not cool no matter what.
A guy that hates your fantasy teams. Karma's a bitch, isn't it? But I'm glad nobody was hurt, including himself. So let's just move on from this. But hopefully he gets it straightened out. But either way, Josh Jacobs for fantasy, I'm not drafting him next year. I'm not. I'm just going to stay away from him. He hates fantasy. Why would I draft someone?
I think that'll be a mistake. He'll still be a top 10 finisher next year, too.
Okay, would you be in a relationship with somebody who hates relationships? No, I wouldn't.
That's so funny because like you're on the dating sites or something, and some of these women use really funny names for their profiles, and I saw one that like hate men or something like that. Oh, sign me up, lady! I want to see you.
Maybe she was into women, but was she actively looking for men though? Did it say?
Yeah.
She hates men, but she wants a man.
Yeah. Oh, that's a real turn on right off the get-go there, baby. That's the way to set the hook.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, let's talk about some bad surprises. First of all, let's hit on these two guys because we always talked about it throughout the year. Hunt and Chubb. Hunt actually beat Chubb again this year. Chubb missed 4 games. So you can put a little asterisk there. But we basically said these guys are 50-50, 60-40. So we nailed that one right on the head. Well, still, they both finished 10th and 11th, man.
Chubb got hurt. I know, but the fact of the matter is we didn't say Kareem Hunt would beat Chubb in Facebook, which he did. We didn't even say that. We said it'd be close. And it was close. And that would push Chubb out of round 1 contention, I would say, because Kareem Hunt was better value, right? So anyway, either way, we were kind of half right.
Yeah, I would say we were more than half right.
Right.
Yes, he was injured, but he had a huge number of touchdowns. So Chubb had 12 touchdowns for the time that he wasn't injured, whatever. It is what it is. We just recommended watch these guys. It might be a 50-50. Even still, both of them finishing 10th and 11th is still really good to me. I'm not going to spend a first-round pick, though, on Chubb next year, hoping that he can crack the top 12.
No, but I think he'll be high up on the rankings. You're going to see it, man. Chubb's still going to be slated ahead of Kareem Hunt because had he been healthy, he would have finished ahead of Kareem. Kareem Hunt had 5 receiving touchdowns. Chubb had none. So Kareem Hunt's always going to be a thorn, man. He's always going to be there. They're going to run the 1-2. Chubb, obviously the better pure runner, going to get the yardage and the volume.
Now let me take a minute and do this for myself. Clyde Edwards, Elaire.
Yep. Yeah, and I
finished 22nd overall.
And I said, I love the upside. Don't get me wrong. And I did suggest him in the first round. I personally didn't draft. And I said, I'm suggesting him, but I'm not drafting him. I specifically said this to people because I didn't think the volume was going to be there. The Chiefs don't have any integrity when it comes to running backs and working a full workhorse running back. I didn't see it. And he was a rookie, so there's some question marks, but everybody was on this guy. He was coming off mid-first round, and it was insane. I thought it was insane.
Yeah. I thought the price was way too high for an unproven guy. And not to dump on him, finishing 22nd, missed some games. It's still good for you. You had a pretty good year, I'd say. And maybe you've got some room to go up even. I'm just saying, man, I like to play it safe a lot of the times. And maybe that kind of hurts me too, though. I play it safe when it comes to picking my guys. I was not spending a first round pick on a Hilaire.
Another disappointment here. Kenyon Drake drafted in the second round, finished 16th. He kind of held his own down the stretch there, got his 10 touchdowns, 192 points. So I was really, coming at Kenyon Drake as really sucking. He sucked, but not as bad as I thought. I thought he would have fell out of I thought he'd be 25.
And let's talk about someone that everybody busted, especially your balls, which I don't understand because I was just as high on him. David Johnson. He was a 4th, 5th round draft.
Yeah.
He finished 21st, people. That's not horrible.
He got hurt. Again, no excuses, but he got hurt, and it was ridiculous that hurt. I think it was a concussion protocol. It really sucked, but he turned it up. From what I heard, I was talking to our guy from Fan to Fan Network. If you guys aren't following Fan to Fan Network, make sure you guys do on social and bookmark the website for news. Our Houston guy was saying that he just saw a life coach, and ever since that, he came back, and he had 2 amazing games. He actually, if you watched him, Tim, it was like a different David Johnson. That's
what I needed to see. I remember game 1, you were like, oh yeah, David Johnson. I told everybody, man. And I was like, easy, buddy. Because it was It was Houston and KC for game 1 this year. And you were like, oh, Hilaire's looking good. Johnson's looking. I was like, no, dude. Johnson had some huge holes to run through. So I wasn't impressed after that first game. And, taking him as a 4th, 5th rounder, I'm still happy with that call.
Look at this. After the life coach, week 15, 24.3 points, week 16, 28.9, week 17, 21 points. So he started turning it up. His actual worst game was week 9, 1.6 points. But other than that, he was safe and steady throughout the season, other than the games that he missed. So David Johnson I don't know about him next year. I got to see where we get. If I can get him in the 4th round again, I'll get him, 4th round.
Yeah, because to me, he's a good receiving back. So I'm always willing to take that kind of bet on him.
Yeah. I'm definitely not going 1 or 2, but maybe. Todd Gurley's dead to me.
Yeah.
I was wrong. I got him in the 2nd, 3rd round. Completely busted. 29th amongst running backs. I'm surprised. But, you can't say that you should be surprised because he had his knee injury, right? So
and that's with 9 touchdowns, though. He finished 29th with 9 touchdowns. That's quite a high number of touchdowns to finish so poorly.
They were pulling him. They kept pulling him out of games. Just, he had ankle injury or knee injury.
And I get to say, I warned you on that one.
Yeah. I
warned you on that one, Joe.
You can't win them all. So listen to this one here. This is another one that surprised people, but I'm not surprised. Austin Eckler got hurt, obviously, put him 26 as a guy who drafted in the 2nd round. Everyone was drafting him like a workhorse. I said he's not been a workhorse. You still like this guy. You think he's going to bounce back next year.
He is a receiving back, man. I am taking him all the way. And what's funny is, and you still avoid this, you said he is not a running back. He can't run the ball worth a crap. He actually ran the ball really well early in the season. Maybe that's what got him hurt.
He looked good when he was out there, and he does have a good quarterback with him next year. So I don't know, man. Depends if they bring anyone else in, how it's going to look. How's that backfield going to look? But yeah, I'm not
going to pay a high price for him, and thankfully you can kind of say, hey, maybe this is going to drop his value. Maybe I'm going to pick Eckler up in the 3rd or 4th or even 5th. I'll be thrilled. I will take him for sure.
A couple other surprises. Antonio Gibson, finishing 13th amongst running backs, going to have a good year next year. Hopefully that's a bit of a surprise. J.D. McKissick finishing 17th. So some Washington running backs getting some work here. If I had said to you, J.D. McKissick is going to beat Chris Carson, David Johnson, and Clyde Edwards Alaire in fantasy, what would you have said?
Huh?
Yeah, that's what I know. And Austin Eckler. Who would have thunk it, right?
Yeah.
That's fantasy for you, right? So J.D. McKissick. JD, who is that guy, right?
Yeah.
Washington Redskins running back beats Eckler.
Whoa.
What?
You just made a faux pas. Oh my God.
They're still Washington.
Send the hate comments here.
Yeah. It's Miles Sanders. Like, who would have thought it, though? The Washington football team's running backs tearing it up. Like, I wouldn't have thought it, right? So, any other surprise here at running back?
There's always surprises, but
Joe Mixon busted. We saw that. I mean, he got hurt, right? I was not expecting much out of him. I can't trust him. I warned you about Mixon as well. He just never a pinnacle guy. Christian McCaffrey, I mean, getting hurt and then just staying hurt. Like we thought he'd come back, right? Everybody thought he'd come back. He just never did.
Yeah. I mean, would you say that? I guess you would say Zeke is a surprise too, kind of a bad surprise.
Well, I knew a bit of a decline, right? Because
he finished ninth.
I still finished ninth, but he's supposed to be a top 3, top 4 guy. Where he lacked, if you take a look here, is his attempts, right? He's usually a 300 attempt kind of guy, and his attempts are 244.
Touchdowns were a little low, fumbled a lot. Holy crap. 6 fumbles, 5 of them lost.
Yeah, I mean, that offense was a mess. And I think part of that, I don't want to make excuses, but Dak going down really, really affected him. And McCarthy coming in. We kind of knew that McCarthy likes to throw the ball a lot, right? Different from coaching prior. They just didn't run the ball as much. So, and he got hurt. I think he missed a game or so. I don't know, man. I'm really suspect about him next year and whether the Cowboys are going to keep him. Pollard did good when he came in when Zeke was out. So that's something to think about, right?
Yeah, and that was one of the things I was saying. Like, we saw it even in the 2019 season. We saw Pollard start coming in and taking some carries away and stuff. So it happened a little more this year. I mean, maybe they are starting to transition a bit.
All right, so biggest surprise out of everything we talked about, biggest surprise for fantasy for this year. What was your biggest surprise overall? Good or bad?
I'm going to say Josh Allen. I thought he was going to be good. I didn't think he was going to be that good. So I'm surprised at just how good he was. That has to be my biggest surprise. I'm not going to say an unnamed guy. I'm not going to give you a Jonathan Taylor or one of those and say that's my biggest surprise. No, my biggest surprise is Josh Allen finishing at the top.
Okay. Well, we always get those guys, not always, but we typically get those guys like the Phillip Lindsays that come out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. My biggest surprise has to be James Robinson because he just completely blindsided everybody. Like, nobody saw this. I didn't see it. Like, I sit here and I go over everything with a fine-tooth comb and I look at breakouts. Now, there was a clue that someone else was going to emerge there with Jacksonville. The clue was the team was Leonard Fournette was disgruntled. He wanted out. I thought they might have kept him for the year when I was doing my rankings and prior to the season. I thought Lenny would have stayed there. So when he got shipped off, that really opened things up. So prior to the season, really, we didn't have opportunity. We assumed that Fournette was going to be the guy. So the biggest surprise to me was James Robinson. Completely came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah, right on. Good call.
Yeah. I mean, big surprise. And props to him, man. 6th, 7th amongst running backs. That's pretty cool, man.
And room to grow, baby.
Room to grow. As long as that offense gets better, he could get better, right?
Yep.
So there it is. Full recap, man, pretty much. I mean, this was the 2021.
Went on some tangents. We were supposed to talk about surprises, but we went everywhere.
Yeah, you are my surprise, Tim. Every day you surprise me.
You complete me, Joe.
You complete me, mini-me. All right, man. Well, we're out. Thank you guys for being here. Smash thumbs up. Get the 16-round draft solution. And also, Tim, we've got Fantasy 365 now. It's a community where we chat, we talk, we converse 365 days a year. Get the 2021 season pass, lowest price below. And again, if you do that, you're also entered, Tim. Tim, are you in the 365 group? You got to get in. I got to get you along.
I better get free admission. What are you talking about?
No, you got to pay like everybody else.
Oh my God.
It's worth it. It's worth it because you need fantasy advice. All right. So yeah, get in it, guys. It's an amazing community, most passionate community ever created, Fantasy 365. And again, you get entered to win. 10 people get to come in with CJ2K Johnson. The draw will be after the Super Bowl or maybe halftime. I'm still not deciding. Let's see what I'm doing. But either way, it depends on who the halftime show. Who is the halftime show for the Super Bowl?
I don't even know, man.
Who is it? NFL?
It's like so unhyped this year. It doesn't matter.
What do you mean? Well, I don't think there'll be a lot of people there, right?
No, it'll be a virtual thing. So
it's the weekend. It's the weekend.
Which is cool, Canadian boy, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, last year they got to follow the footsteps of Shakira and J-Lo from last week. Yeah, it's going to be a tough act to follow.
He definitely doesn't have the looks they do.
Definitely not. All right, man. And they're amazing how J-Lo and Shakira look good after how many years? Like they were really in their prime, like in their 1999. I mean, still looking great.
J-Lo looks fantastic.
I mean, but again, that's all they do, right? They have all the money, the time to take care of themselves, diet, fitness, nutrition, products. I mean, if you sunk that much product into us, Tim, we'd be models too.
Yeah, if you put like a couple $1 million into me, I'd be a solid 6.5.
That's good, Tim. All right, man. Well, we'll talk soon, guys. Smash the thumbs up. We'll talk in a bit. And yes, Tim, put some money. We should do a GoFundMe for Tim. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess we start here. Let's start with the hair, and that'll make me happy. Even if I'm ugly and I have hair, I'll be happy.
Hair club for Tim. All right. We're done. We'll talk soon. Hope you enjoyed Big Surprise Fantasy Football 2020. And 2021 is already here. Start preparing. Get 16 rounds. We're out.
Have a good one, guys.